I like this, you like it too. Let's get out to the campaign trail now, where Sky News reporters Trudy McIntosh and Jonathan Lee are out on the road with the travelling media packs, one with the PM, the other with the opposition leader. We'll go to you, Trudy. You're joining us tonight from Avalon Airport. Jonathan, we know, has just touched down in Sydney. Walk us through the PM's day today on the hustings, Trudy. What do we make of it all?
Peter, by the end of tonight, this will be a three-state swing for the Prime Minister. We started this morning in Western Sydney, a high-vis visit to a manufacturing business in the Western Sydney seat of Lindsay, which is held by Mr McIntosh on a 5% margin. There's been a lot of visits to that seat recently. Then we flew here to Avalon Airport. The Prime Minister spent a lot of the afternoon in and around the seat of Corangamite. At the moment, it's held by Labor on a slim 1% margin, but the Prime Minister hopes he can flip this seat. We were at the Geelong refinery, which is technically in the Labor seat of Corio, held by Deputy Leader Richard Marles, but a lot of workers there still live across the neighbouring electorate of Corangamite. This afternoon, at the end of the day, we saw the Prime Minister shooting a few hoops with some young kids in the actual electorate. He got hit on the head at one point by a basketball and his glasses fell off, but he seemed to bounce back all right. We're here on the tarmac. They're waiting for us to finish the cross so we can fly off. We're told to expect to head south, Peter.
Goodness me. I grew up in the seat of Corangamite. I know it well. It will be hotly contested. We'll watch that one closely. Jono, aside from the shorter press conference than normal today, and I read a little bit of that earlier in the program, what was the Labor leader up to?
Peter, good evening to you. It's the third full day of campaigning, and I have to say it feels like about day 21 already. We have just touched down in Sydney. We spent most of the day in Victoria, in Melbourne. It was one key function with the Nurses and Midwifery Association, a couple of hundred party faithful there with Anthony Albanese, unashamedly really focusing on health at the moment. As you indicated before, the Medicare scare is certainly back. There was a rousing reception, as you would expect, for the opposition leader. Bill Shorten was also in attendance. There was two main announcements. They had the 50 GP centre clinics at a cost of $135 million. And you also had, interestingly, $23 million for a program to give nurses better access to healthcare to ease their stress and some of their exhaustion. It was interesting because it's hard to understand why they need a $23 million program where they're assisted by other nurses who can refer them when they're actually part of the healthcare system themselves. If there's that $23 million needed, surely there is problems somewhere else that they can fix up rather than breaking off a tranche. Perhaps we would have had some of those questions for Anthony Albanese if he'd spent longer than 8 minutes or 6 minutes, as you said, before getting out of there, pulling the ripcord. He's clearly under sustained pressure at the moment with a number of questions on his experience, on his party's lack of policies, lack of detail. What we seem to be getting are costings, but not necessarily the parameters or the breakdown of how that money is being spent on policies. It's one thing to say $135 million, but what GPs does that pay for? Where are these centres going to be? How is it different from Kevin Rudd or what we've seen previously? Acknowledging a problem, throwing money, but it doesn't necessarily give you the meat on the bones to analyse that policy, which seems to be a central problem with Labor's campaign at the moment. A lot of frustration.
Jonathan, just a quick one from me. I mentioned this earlier in the week, after such a chaotic Monday, that he was going to play it safe. He'd fill the room with union or Labor-connected people. That's precisely what happened today with that nursing announcement. Are you and the media going to take it lying down that he leaves a press conference like he did today?
I can promise you no. There was certainly frustrations today after the press conference. That was noted, very, very much noted. We originally had it pledged that there would be a questioner and every question would be taken from journalists, or at least one. That certainly didn't happen today. So our frustrations have been noted. I can't say too much more than that, but we will wait to see what plays out tomorrow. We're in Sydney at the moment. We're told we will be leaving early. Two options spring to mind. We could be going to Western Sydney, the seat of Lindsay, and also Macquarie out there, key battlegrounds. Or we might be going north to Hunter. We wait to find out.
Trudy, before you go, any sense that you know about Easter? I heard word today that we're going to put down their weapons over Easter. Is that true?
I don't know if all the weapons are down. We're in the middle of a campaign. I can't imagine that. But look, I expect the PM would be in Sydney. He often spends Easter that weekend in certain locations in Sydney. There's certainly a view within the Morrison camp, Peter, that these first 2 weeks of the campaign, not as many people tuning in. School holidays, Easter, then Anzac Day. The real thing is going to heat up much closer to polling day.
All right, I'll leave it there. I suspect he'll be interested in Easter. It underscores the faith argument for the Prime Minister and his history there, but we'll see what happens over the weekend. All right, thank you very much.